When we do the Kokoda Track as well, we like to make sure that when people walk the track, they get the correct history, of course. And we bring replicas, things like this, along the track as well, and these are originals. So this belongs to a Japanese soldier, and it kind of explains why the Japanese were such a formidable foe. In that, well, this is a Cenneberry belt. And basically the whole idea of this was that when a soldier went to war, the Japanese soldier went to war, he also went to war with his family. So his family were with him in the form of the Cenneberry belt. So before he headed off overseas, his family would sit at the end of the garden or sit at the end of where he lived, and they'd have all these people add a stitch to this belt, the Cenneberry belt. If you had somebody who was born in the year of the tiger was always a lucky symbol, and there was always a red symbol, a red little stitch on the Cenneberry belt. And the year of the tiger was synonymous because the tiger always returned home. So the more red you had on the Cenneberry belt, the more lucky it was. And we come across all these different artifacts all the time. People give them to us. This particular one, of course, was given to me by a digger that was up here, and he'd come across a Japanese soldier. And in his wallet he had some photographs as well. And like it clearly indicates that, well, they were probably only doing their duty as well in a lot of cases. I mean, obviously there was a lot of atrocities that was needless as well, but you know, you can see from the photographs that, well, it really brings home the humanity side of it as well, and that probably maybe he didn't want to be here either. But what it does for us is it allows us to keep the story alive, and it also gives people an opportunity to see the reality of it as well. And so it's a big thing. What we also do is, with our treks, every time we come up here, I buy up old medals, and they're Australian medals. And as you can see, these ones are pretty tattered. But what we do is we take them across the track, of course, you know, and we use them as teaching tools. And by the time people are finished walking the track, they understand how to read a campaign medal and how to understand what the medals stand for. And they can recognise whether this particular digger was a militia soldier or whether he was an AIF soldier, purely by his registration, the serial number. And so what we do is at the end of it, we do the research on the original owner, and then we present these medals back to the rightful owner. And it's part of what we do. It's part of completing the picture, I guess is what we call it. I've always believed that medals belong in the family, the rightful owner of where they come from. And medals, well, families got rid of medals for a lot of different reasons. And some of them, well, my grandfather came back from war, or my father came back from war. And at that time there was no understanding or recognition of PTSD. And so his way of dealing it would be, or was, to hit the bottle. And so they became alcoholics. And of course then the next generation suffer. And we see that a lot because a lot of the people that I take on the track, they've had families that have fought on the track and they're in search of their history. And you can still see that the next generation is affected by the fact that they had a family member at war. And when they walk the track, you can almost see the big dark shadows lifting off them as they get to understand what their grandfather or father went through, and hence the reason why they had the behaviour they did. But in the artefacts that we get, we always try and find the rightful owner. We try and repatriate them, we try and bring them home. So it allows those families who should probably have them in their, you know, in their possession, allows them closure.